every single cloud provider, they want to find stickiness. And stickiness is about helping your ICP to become more productive, launch faster, and monetize faster. So that's why we are focused on product stack for builders and developers, products around Kubernetes and open source, and these platforms that they help them to become more profitable. Understanding that, then the second step we did for the ISV co-sell was this journey between when you are a founder, you are building your software, but you want to tap into the entire ecosystem, right? What that means, first, the marketplace becomes the lower cost of acquisition for a founder. They don't need to build sales organization. They don't need to invest on building the channels organization themselves. They bring that. So then from a marketplace standpoint, we need to think about three things. One,
learn how to master cloud marketplaces in just 5 weeks with our cohort course. Accelerate your growth by tapping into the $300+ billion cloud spend that enterprises have committed to AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. Discover the future of go-to-market with Roman. During 10 weekly sessions, you'll learn how to leverage this fast-growing channel and network with top industry experts and partnership leaders. We will dive into marketplace strategies, internal buy-in, building relationships with the cloud, and mastering co-sell. Join our upcoming cohort.
Hello, Fer.
hi, Roman.
I'm really excited about our conversation with you, Fer Oliveira, because you have amazing experience coming from a decade long in such companies like Cisco, JFrog, Google Cloud, more than 5 years, I should say, right? And now you are leading partnerships in DigitalOcean. To my understanding of DigitalOcean is a simple cloud for developers and digital native companies. And I'll look forward to hearing more about that. And how do you build partnership and ecosystem strategy for DigitalOcean? But before we jump into that, tell us a little bit more about your experience and sort of across all these amazing companies you've been and how you came to partnerships.
When I look at partnerships, I look at your ability to see the business from different angles and understand who joined the ecosystem. Some more technical companies, some more companies that they want to become more resellers, etc. So my experience over the years has been strategy. When I spent some years in Cisco, open source in the world of Canonical, Kubernetes, OpenStack, go all the way back on OpenStack, but and also the developer experience with JFrog, and in the last 5 years at Google, helping to build the entire cloud program Google at the beginning, and in the last couple of years building solutions for developers and platform engineering to scale. So when you connect all the dots, so the experience around building businesses with technology to enable developers, that's essentially the centric of my capabilities. And that's why I accept this great opportunity to lead ecosystem for DigitalOcean, because it's the leader cloud for developers that brings exactly what you just mentioned. We bring a platform that empower them with simplicity, user-friendly, but at the same time, our cloud is affordable with performance reliability, and it's designed around developers. So then developers, they can be individuals that they can leverage DigitalOcean, or they are builders. We love to call builders. They are building companies. They are founders of startups, or they are building SMB businesses. They can tap into this cloud that is easy to use, and they can just bring their product very quickly to the market.
Right. But sort of back to the partnership question, right? I think Cisco is sort of 90% partner-led, right? GCP is also very much partner-focused. How do you think about partnership strategy now coming into DigitalOcean?
I think you mentioned back in the day when it was Cisco, 90% partnership. I would say Cisco was more like a channel strategy going forward, right? Of course, all companies that evolve, including Cisco, but I think the partnership here in DigitalOcean is more like a ecosystem where we want to tap into what I love to say, networks effect. It's less about push, but more about pull. And that's why understanding who we are is the most important thing when you design your strategy and your partnership strategy, is understanding. That's why I always go back to the core. we build products for developers, for digital native startups, for growing business. So if you understand that, bringing the platform and bringing partners that they can tap into your capabilities, and they can create software on top of capabilities, they can create new solutions for the same audience, and they can also bring those solutions to sell to the same audience. It's kind of like the gravity of our ecosystem. So our partnership is focused on, if you look at the history, we started looking to selling to digital agencies, full stack agencies, and hosting providers, because that goes back to our history. We started as a company, a droplet company. Then over time, we evolved the product roadmap, and today over the last few years, we became a cloud company. But if you think about that history, then initial partners were those type of partners just to help some developers or small business to set up their mobile app, their websites. But right now we are going to cloud providers, cloud services to help migrate clouds, to implement cloud, MSPs to help manage thousands of SMBs that they have out there, and ISVs that they build on cloud their software, and they are looking for developers and the same segment to sell their software to. And last but not least, the connection with marketplace, which is a new way to commercialize cloud services. We are all in this in terms of our partnership and our strategy. But the difference when you look at us versus others is understanding who we are and playing in your strength. We don't compete with hyperscalers. We compete about the segment that we are and trying to be the best of that segment, which means when I look at the strategy that I mentioned to you, this type of partnerships is always going back to the center of how do I serve best these developers, these SMBs, these growth digital native companies with softwares that they use in a day-to-day work. Like cloud is one, tools for build software is another one, collaboration, etc. If we bring those tools also to our marketplace, we continue to bring the best portfolio for them to be successful as builders.
Amazing. So I'll look forward to having deep dive into marketplace, because this is something that I'm passionate about. But I'm just curious, when you were wrapping up in Google and moving into DigitalOcean, how did you describe to your Google friends like what DigitalOcean does?
It was interesting. We had some conversations when I made the announcement, because we tend to think about the hyperscalers. When you are one of those, you tend to think about the hyperscalers. The way that I was describing is the cloud for SMB. And more importantly, always used to describe, because I came from the developer-centric inside Google, it's a very, very cloud focused on developer. And what that means, Fer, that means that the products that they were building in DigitalOcean, we continue to build, they are focused on bringing the best developer experience when they are using the product. Easy to use, easy to deploy, easy to set up, easy to come and launch your product. And interesting question, because when I was at Google is, you also know, is well known as a cloud that has a focus on every product that they build. They claim to be developer centric. And for me was, okay, developer centric is very similar to the core of DigitalOcean. And if you look at this, if you go and search up out there in communities, you're going to see that DigitalOcean come at the top of those companies that they think about developer friendly. It started with the droplet, easy to use, easy to just drop and deploy your application, all the way today with our docs, our DigitalOcean Kubernetes platform. It has the best UI UX. The console is very friendly for developers to use. What I mean by that, think about if you want to build your software and launch your company. Some companies, they have a focus on bringing 200, 250 different pieces for your puzzle. It's great to have many options, but it takes time for you to put the puzzle together. So that usually decreases your productivity, especially in the first 6 months when you want to launch a product. We are the opposite. We are like user-friendly, developers focused, so they can just focus on what they do best, which is coding, and rapidly they can prototype and launch and build a business. That's the core of DigitalOcean.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks so much. I've seen a lot of sentiments that supports what you just said about simplicity, and you also have like 630,000 customers, right? Which kind of supports everything you said. Let's move to partnership strategy, right? So you have like 4 pillars, at least like what I've seen, is basically you have partnership itself, you have marketplace, you have technology alliances, and startup program. So where do you focus, right? When you VP of all of that, how do you prioritize, and where do you focus, and how they create the entire picture for kind of seamless go-to-market?
We start where our customers are, because the goal is always meet where they are. Obviously, we have a mission and and we have a strategy for the next 3 years in terms of the business, but you always start where the customers are, and then you walk with them and follow and show the path where we want to go. But in terms of the partnership strategy, our major focus for 2024, for example, is help ISVs to build on DigitalOcean and launch their products to market very fast. And that's why when I came here, I rapidly look at the data, slice and dice, and the data, the insights that I captured from the data was ISV was the major component of our customer base. And then understanding the customer base, you know that they are building software to sell in the market. So rapidly, ISV co-sell became a very important focus for us, right? And then when you think about ISV co-sell, co-marketing, that goes back to understanding who our customers are and who we are. We are not a hyperscaler that has thousands and thousands of sellers out there selling to B2B, to the enterprise, but we are this company that start and build a business from zero to where we are today doing self-sales. We are very good in product-led growth, and then understanding that. So when you bring the ISV program, so the marketplace becomes important, but you play marketplace differently. What I mean by that is marketplace is not just a fulfillment for your sales organization, but it's exactly the place that it's definitely your e-commerce for your customers, that they can go there and see they can go there and search up and discover tools that will help them to do better job and more effectively every day. That goes back to, again, our 630,000 customers, that they can go to my marketplace and see the tools that they use today, that they can have that it's aligned with their core competencies. That's why the marketplace becomes important to drive traffic to the marketplace, bring solutions that they are developer centric, open source or closed source, but they are tools for builders. Also platforms around Kubernetes that has this synergy with who they are and who we are, and together we can continue to help them to accelerate their business, because developers and SMBs, as you know, you are more sensitive about speed, pricing, and how you bring your product to the market. So the impact that you do for this type of customers, it's very, very strong. And all the products, all the movements, all the plans that you have in your program, they have to be very, very focused on benefits that they can do as soon as they start working with you. That's why the ISV and marketplace became very important. But then when you look at that, you look at the partners that they are helping these companies to consume cloud, right? And then you see that's when the services partners, the small SIs, the MSPs, they come to play. And you know, you are leading on the ecosystem, Roman. You know, these MSPs, they come and deploy digital natives, either in the hyperscalers or they can do with us, and they are deploying the cloud portfolio, but also they are tapping into the marketplace of these cloud providers, and we call this alliances program, that when you implement the cloud, you want to implement a firewall, you want to implement API, you want to implement any digital native capability, you want to basically resell what is in the marketplace to implement end-to-end to your customers. That's why we have this pillar around MSPs, ISVs, and marketplace. Last but not least, when you think the entire journey, I was rapidly thinking about, well, we have the ISVs today, but the ISVs today, they were a smaller founder a couple of years ago, going to these startup studios or getting funding from VCs. Our story complements with our Hatch program, which is DigitalOcean program to accelerate startup journey. So we have the same mission to bring the ISV concept, the marketplace, bring into the startup program where they not only can tap into the cloud, they can get benefits building cloud as they could get to other clouds. But here, I give them the ability to build, to become part of the portfolio, and rapidly bring to the marketplace, a marketplace that our mission is to be the #1 marketplace for founders, for builders, and for developers. And if you think about that, that's a great value proposition for them, because when they are deciding which cloud they want to build on, they are not only deciding about the cloud itself and the product they want to bring to the market, but how to monetize very quickly from 0 to 1. And we position ourselves as the #1 cloud marketplace for those founders as well.
That is fantastic. Marketplace actually concept tied to clouds are getting a lot of traction, and I think you are moving to the right direction. Quick question. It's notoriously difficult to create this kind of flywheel where marketplace brings customers and customers grow marketplace and so on. How do you do that? And also tied to that, co-sell is becoming like very well-known term all of a sudden. And DigitalOcean, like in general, I mean, DigitalOcean is very good in partners in product-led growth, right? How do you tie co-sell to marketplace in your specific conditions where you don't have sort of thousands of sellers?
Interesting you asked this question, because back in the day when I was in a different company, I always thought about like the marketplace is the e-commerce for the developer, right? Is basically the goal is become the bring the products to developer console. That's what you want, or some people would say the workstation of the developer, that it's right there, right? That they don't need to think too much, but they just drag and drop. That's the future of marketplace. But for us, I think we are pretty much closer to that future, which is you need to be closer to the consumer of the marketplace, which is the developer, which is the builder, which is who is building the product that they are about to launch in their business. So, and if you understand that, our marketplace requires that you understand even deeper the ICP. Our ICP is the founder, is the CTO, is the developer of these software companies or growth digital native companies or SMBs. And if you understand the ICP, then I need to look at which are the type of tools that will help these developers, these builders, to build what they need. For example, cloud is one. That's pretty easy because you need to tap into the cloud to build a product. But think about, you are building a software, you need, like a software engineer, you need A/B testing when you are building a software. You need to have those tools in your marketplace. The same for like databases, data warehouses, all the way to analytics, for them to be more productive when they are building their software, not just when they are launching product. If you think about the hyperscalers, they are thinking about the enterprise customers. Oh, I just need this huge cloud architecture tools and products. We are thinking about the builders. Yes, I will have the products and the architecture for the cloud when they are up and running, but I need to think about when they are building software, because they are not just running their software in the cloud. I need to think about always they are building. And if they build faster, so they will be more productive, they will continue to stay with me. That's when you find what every single cloud provider, they want to find stickiness. And stickiness is about helping your ICP to become more productive, launch faster, and monetize faster. So that's why we are focused on product stack for builders and developers, products around Kubernetes open source, and these platforms that they help them to become more profitable. Understanding that, then the second step we did for the ISV co-sell was this journey between, we always bringing this journey between when you are a founder, you are building your software, but you want to tap into the entire ecosystem, right? Number one, what that means. First, the marketplace becomes the lower cost of acquisition for a founder. They don't need to build a sales organization. They don't need to invest on building the channels organization themselves. They bring that. So then from a marketplace standpoint, we need to think about essentially three things. One, bring the marketing digital strategy to bring traffic, to bring your customer base, in our case, our 630,000 current customers, to get to see what we have in our marketplace that they can tap into and they can buy from. And ultimately the founder can monetize their product, number one. Number two, that's why it goes to discovery, goes to SEO, goes to pay-per-click, all this, the same product-led growth, going back who we are, the same capabilities that we apply for product-led growth, you have to apply for marketplace, especially in a company like us, that we don't have the entire enterprise company, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 sellers going there and talking to customers and say, hey, just visit my marketplace and buy from there. Because that's I go to the second point, which is create what hyperscalers, they have this very well defined and they are executing pretty well, is the multi-year cloud commits, and enable people that they buy cloud, they can burn commits against these contracts. They can buy the ISV that is in the marketplace or in the co-sell program. For us, it's not different. I'm implementing these practices here as well to allow these ISVs to tap into this market, right? And allow essentially our 630,000 customers to go to multi-year deals, to go to these commits, and then start transactioning in their marketplace, right? That's the second point. And the third point, thinking about these agencies, full stack agencies, and obviously the traditional cloud services companies, MSPs, they can also, when they are there implementing solutions, building websites, building mobile apps, or building more sophisticated modern applications, that they are not just implementing DigitalOcean solutions and reselling, but also they can tap into the ISV and the marketplace solutions, and they can resell and implement. So that's the third part of the way that we are enabling our co-sell and marketplace. One thing I would like to add at the end is our ISV co-sell is different because we don't have the 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 sellers. I build a framework that is focused on who we are, our customer base, and then the framework follows a very interesting approach in terms of leveraging the product-led growth approach, the social media out there, either for developers, either for businesses, and then having webinars well structured, having newsletter, approaching our customer base, approaching our top customers. We have 630,000, but we can approach the top 5,000, the top 16,000, the top 5,000 about these use cases by offering them, one pager, the solution that they can have with a promotion. When we launch, you're going to see that we are coming with some offerings in our marketplace that we offer alongside with the ISV, some promotions, but we not only bring there, but also we offer to our customer base. And then we start working with our customer success team and our sales team to also leverage that. So we leverage our capabilities for these ISVs. This is part of our program and our framework. What we don't do is trying to focus on selling upper market, where we can sell to the upper market. We have the portfolio, depending upon the use case and the application and the workload, we can address the problem. But when you think about the ISV co-sell, these companies, they want to be part of a framework and a strategy that can monetize and scale for them and be less B2B, less full hands-on both companies, and be more like tap into, going back what I said at the beginning of our conversation, it has to be pulled through and not push. And that's when I go and say, hey, look, the marketplace for hyperscalers, they look at the marketplace and they thought, I want to leverage my 20,000 people. And that's beauty. Don't take me wrong. They are being successful. But in my case is understanding who we are as a core company. Who do we serve? And then how do we make the next founders, the next builders that they come to the ISV co-sell program in the marketplace to serve the same audience that we do. And if we do that, I think we become extremely successful.
I love that you essentially laying on top of your foundation of product-led growth, right? Your previous maybe learnings and experience with hyperscalers, which were kind of adding marketplace, adding some motion around detrimenting commits as well, but at the same time also doubling down on sort of consumerish B2B practices. I love that. Let's talk about technology alliances, right? Because you have set of partners you mentioned a couple of times, MSPs and others. How do they tie into your partner ecosystem strategy and also marketplace? Because I know that everyone relies on them on one hand, but at the same time it's tricky to put everything together in one sort of like flywheel.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think you nail on the head. I think it's about to step back and always going back to who my audience is, my customers, and who we are and how we serve them, right? And if you think about that, it's always about, do I have a gap or not to serve them? And you continually to work on that gap and refining and going back and forth and deploying what they need. So what I mean by that, you always go into the strategy and build versus buy versus partner. When you think about technology partnerships, you always go back to the strategy board and say, hey, who is my audience, where I am, and let's think about our roadmap and our portfolio that we serve this audience. And that's when you play build versus buy versus partner. Specifically here is build versus partner. And then you look at your portfolio that you address and then say, hey, do I have some gaps? And not based on where I am, but based on where this ISV are going, where they are going, because that goes back to, okay, I understand build versus partner. Now I need to double down in who are my customers, and I design what I call here ideal ISV journey. So understanding the software that they are building, how they build from dev to test, which is staging, to production. And then from that point, how they sell. So I'm thinking about the two things in my build versus partner strategy. And you can ask why you look at how to build, but also how to sell. And that's, I think, is the fundamental transformation that we bring to our customers, that they become also the founders of startups, that they come to the ISV co-sell and they sell more to the community. That's the flywheel, because we look at, you are building a software, you want to be effective, you want to tap into a software that is simple, affordable, easy to use, easy to operate, that you can lower your cost in terms of cloud, but also in developer productivity. But at the same time, you want to monetize. When you understand that, that's when you go to strategic partnerships and you say, okay, so which are the capabilities that I want to build and I can build today, next year, in 2026, versus the capabilities that I could partner right now and support my customer base just right now. And who are the partners that I need to partner? And then I need to bring to the technology partnership. And that technology partnership could be eventually some sort of OEM partnership, and absolutely can be and will be ISV. Because you do the GTM, because you always want to focus on a win-win partnership, not just to build versus partner and then you fill the gap, but also you want to grow the partnership. That's when you become obsessed about being a data-driven company, understanding your customers, but understanding the data and understanding the solutions, because it's all about the application. If you understand the application of your customer, then you understand the solutions and the products that they need to tap into to solve the problem. And that's when you start thinking about the solutions, the bundle, and you go back to the marketplace. Do I have the offers in my marketplace that address that? That's how the flywheel always continue to excel, because they are always interconnected about who my customer base is, developers, builders, these SMBs, these founders, right? The CTO and these ICPs, and my core competencies. When I always play these two, in a build versus buy, obviously, versus acquire if you go to M&A, but in my world is build versus partner. I bring that at the core to the entire channel. And going back to the alliances, then you establish those alliances, not just to tap into the network effect of the partner network, and the partner network will tap into my network, but also when we come together, 1 + 1 equal 4. And why you say 4, Fer? Because even people say 3, because we always go back to build and sell. Why? Because your customer, even if it's a developer, they are a founder, they are building a business to monetize. You tap into cloud, but cloud is always about, if you think about your P&L, cloud is the cost in your P&L. Developer productivity is the cost on return on labor. Cloud cost is cost on your cost to operate the business, right? But when you think about selling in the co-sell and marketplace, you move from your P&L from cost to the top, revenue. And that's when you become strategic. That's when 1 + 1 is equal 4. Because 1 + 1 with the best capabilities equal 3. Develop productivity, great cost, you move time to market. But when you help your customer, who becomes your founder, who becomes your partner in this journey, then you make them successful, then it equals 4.
That's an interesting way to think about it. But I totally agree with you that if you create a flywheel and a company kind of builds on your cloud and then sells through your cloud and also extend the total addressable market through your cloud, this is when it becomes self-sustaining and actually self-replicating. So let's talk quickly about the things. One of them is starter program. So you mentioned that you launched starter program, which you call Hatch, right? And it's also not trivial to launch a starter program. We spoke in one of the episodes with Sharifa, who led partnerships in Loom, and before that in Asana. And in one of the companies actually starter program worked, and in other it didn't, even though it was kind of similar. I'm curious, like, what's he learning in launching starter program, and like, how is it going?
I mentioned about always go back to the why, to the board, and think about the strategy. Think about who do I serve, right? And if you think about as a company, you have to launch a program understanding who do you serve, your core competencies. Well, actually, it's the same what we did for ISV, for co-sell, for the entire ecosystem. It's not going to be different for the startup program, and because it's really about how do I help these founders, these developers, that they start using my product. Sometimes they are working big companies and they decided to build something like a side hustle. They build a software, they start piloting some ideas. They look at us like, hey, let me build this. They build their sandboxes and actually this can become a business. That's when I wanna just go on my own and build this company, right? And that's when Hatch is there for them. Either they go and do themselves and they trying to bootstrap, or they go to the other path, going to startup accelerators like 500, go to Y Combinator, those type of accelerators, or they go to VCs, and the traditional path, all the way to down the road to growth Ps. If you think about that, so our goal is, one, obviously bring the cloud program for them to be able to build on us. Think about, it's not that different from ISV. They're going to tap into the cloud to build their product, to build their company, number one. But so if you think about what is over there, usually you provide cloud benefits, credits, GTM motions. And in our case, we also provide a great services support, because these founders, they are not spending when they start. So this is, we bring what I call peace of mind from day one for them. Great. But that's not enough. The question becomes, where do you go from here? Because if you see the cloud over there, especially with generative AI, and we can tap into this conversation later, Roman, generative AI has changed also the startup programs because GPUs and all those kind of things, you need to train the data and run the data in inference. You need a deeper cloud capacity, and it's higher cost, which means you need to increase your cloud credits when you are building a product. And if I think about my audience, but if you think about the other cloud players, what they offer, I don't have the same deeper pockets that other clouds, the hyperscalers, they do have, right? So then I need to play on my field, on my battlefield, or not on their battlefield. So understanding who, again, go back to the strategy, who do I serve, who are my core competences are. So then I build, okay, so I am this startup, I am this company that brings simplicity, great pros for developers, great, affordable, reliable, and great peace of mind self support to who? To developers, to builders, to SMBs. Okay, understanding that goes back to the marketplace conversation. Well, actually, what if? And that's what I did when I took over this program. What if I bring the marketplace to these founders, that they are selecting the program not just based on the credit, the GTM motions, or the services, but also selling their product from 0 to 1 and monetizing. Because think about understanding my audience, they can be bootstrap founders, right? They can be even founders, they are getting, they are raising from, they're coming from YC or 500 or Techstars, but it's about tapping into the best platform to build your product by being productive and cost effective, but also how do you monetize your product? Because if I help them to monetize quick, I'm helping them to go to the next round of funding, right? So if you think about that, is I put myself on their shoes, and that's when I tap into, hey, you can come to my marketplace in my startup program. Our program runs for 12 months. So I offer my marketplace that they can build and they can put in the marketplace and sell the product to my 630,000 customers. So you can say, well, Fer, but can they do in the other players? Well, actually they can do, and they probably doing. But other marketplaces, I would say to you, is pretty crowded, right? They're going to compete against 15,000 companies in hyperscalers marketplace. In our case, I don't have that problem today. I have my marketplace very successful over the last 3 years, but it's still a long way to go that I want, and I can continue to say, I will build, and that's the mission, to be the marketplace for founders. So now I bring the marketplace story in my program. And then the other thing is, if you think about builders, so when you are building a startup, you need cloud, yes, but you need a bank account, right? You need a tool to build. You need to build a tool to build your product, your software. You mentioned Asana, you mentioned Monday.com, right? You can use those tools. So now the goal is bring also in the program the tools for builders that they can tap into. For example, we build a partnership with Mercury. So we bring Mercury as the bank for startups in our program. And then you can payments, options, collaboration tools, all the tools, the top 30, 40 tools that you make them to build products faster, more effectively, we bring in the program. If you understand that, we are focused on founders and builders, and that's how we differentiate. And that's why Hatch is becoming successful going forward even more, because we are looking to, again, double down on who they are, who do we serve.
It's great that you actually, and interesting that you put in marketplace as the center of your value proposition for founders. And I agree that it's actually pretty compelling. Quick question related to other companies who you mentioned, for example, Monday. Companies are now going to cloud marketplaces. Do you also see, and sort of listing there, right? Do you also see established companies who are not in DigitalOcean, built on DigitalOcean, also going into your marketplace or not?
The core of our marketplace is the developers, is the builders. But I do see other companies now coming to us. And the reason is There is a market segment, Roman, that I believe a great opportunity for somebody come tap into and dominate. And it's interesting because originally you've seen all the cloud players, they started with startups. If you go all the way back to AWS story, right? They started with digital native startups, right? If you go the way that Google Cloud started, they started with, again, startups, right? Building gaming, Pokemon, right? That's how basically App Engine from Google started. I think what happened is we did the same. We started with developers. In our case, we are seeing that, going to your question, these companies that they are not our customers, they are coming to us because they are looking for options in terms of multi-cloud, but also cost. And let me tell you what that means. Over the years, cloud became the companies, they started to grow over time and compound. And at some point, they started to focus a lot on the enterprise market. And essentially, if you go to the DNA of the why cloud, you always need to go back to the why. Whatever you do in business as an entrepreneur, go back to the why. The why cloud is to bring ability to elasticity, to try on demand. If it doesn't work, you kill your workload, you build something else. That's why cloud. When you go in cloud and you become multi-billion dollar commits in the enterprise, that cloud becomes less about elasticity. It becomes to a traditional selling software for the enterprise. And now companies, they are realizing, hold on. I want to go back to on-demand experience, elasticity, drag and drop, test, pilot, buy. So they started to come to us and say, hey, the cloud is becoming complex. Fair. I need to put this puzzle together. It's 300 pieces. I need to have all my teams to become cloud architects. And fear, I cannot afford. And now I need to increase the cost of my team just to manage this hyperscalers because it became a business overall, the cloud. And I think this is beautiful. But at the same time, it becomes very heavy for companies that they don't have that ability, that big IT organization. That goes back to, okay, you don't have that. You don't want that. I think if you think about the future, if you are a pharmaceutical company, if you are a finance bank, if you are a fintech, look at the banks today. They have thousands of IT employees. No, their goal is to the front. Their goal is to help their customers. The IT became heavy cost for companies. So that's why you go back to the why, being simplicity, being easy products to deploy. That's why these companies, they start coming to DigitalOcean and come to our marketplace and say, hey, how can I have a product that is easy to use, easy to deploy, simpler, affordable? And they are looking for that. And then when I think about, when I mentioned to you the market, the enterprise, that is this between startups and founders and developers and the enterprise. In the middle, there is this mid-market, high-end SMB, low-end mid-market. They are saying, hey, who can help me? Because now they see the hyperscaler focus on the top, and there is an opportunity for companies like DigitalOcean and companies like, hey, how can I help these companies to take advantage of cloud and ISVs and marketplace in a way that they can afford and they can move fast. These companies, we are talking from 100 employees, 200 employees, eventually all the way to 500 employees. If you think about this market, SMB and low mid-market, there is a window of opportunity for a cloud provider come and dominate. And I think this is why these companies, they are coming to us as well, because they see that the hyperscalers started to move all the way to the enterprise, to the high-end enterprise, and now they need help, and they cannot afford white glove services migration. And that's why here I also create a program that helps them to do that with services partners, that they can bring these capabilities. We afford these capabilities, but in a way that is good for them and is great for the partner as well. And that's why the entire connection needs to be together, right? The services migration, the MSP, the ISV, and the marketplace if all is together, we have a huge value proposition. Again, back to the developer, the founder, the ICP.
I agree that not every company wants to become an IT company, and there's multiple examples like John Deere, who has more IT people these days rather than sort of mechanics, which is kind of counterintuitive. I would love to ask you a question, because you've been in Google AI evangelist, right? So you've been very much sort of focused on AI. So how do you see AI ties into your marketplace strategy, in your partnership strategy? How do you think about that?
AI as a nature is redesigning the computing market. Let's put it this way, right? The way that people, they write code, the way that the data center architecture was built 30, 40 years ago will change, and it's changing in front of our eyes, and the same for cloud computing. I think understanding that will change. I think we need to embrace it and move faster, and it's not different in DigitalOcean. As you know, we acquire a company called Paperspace. We offer GPUs. We have a platform that helps companies to train data and run in production inference. But if you think about the ISV and the marketplace, it's not that different. Think about the large language models that you can apply to train the data and run the inference. So across different applications and use cases, that plays the same here. Goes back to the why. Who do I serve for? I serve the developers, I serve the builders. And these builders and developers, they started to leverage AI for AI code, right? They're in the inner loop where they build code. And when they commit to source control, from source control, they go to this, how can I do the CI/CD? How to package my tool? And according to IDC, 40% of the developer productivity goes away because of the outer loop, right? To figure that out. I think generative AI will change that. It will create inner loop and outer loop in a single layer based on data. I think the entire DevOps and DevSecOps will evolve, and cloud as a whole will evolve. Understanding us, we want to bring these capabilities to our marketplace that they complement what I just mentioned to you today. Build versus partner plays the same way here. Who is my audience? How do I bring AI, machine learning, and generative AI to them, and understand who can I build, who I'm going to partner, and make sure they are in sync in our entire ecosystem around technology partnerships, ISVs, and marketplace. But one thing I think not all people understand out there, and I would like to bring Roman in 1 minute, additional minute to you. Excuse me. Because the entire technology stack is about to change, right? Today we see generative AI with the application layer changing productivity. You can get this co-pilots and applications that you can improve productivity. If you are a lawyer, you can tap into. If you are an engineer and a developer, and so on and so forth. But if you think about the stack is going to change, it's going to be smarter. I don't envision that compute will be the entire cloud will be based on architecture as today. Like you have the compute, either the VM or the container, you have the storage, you have the networking. The way that the architecture is designed, the data layer, the compute, the PaaS layer, and infrastructure as a service layer, those 3 layers, they will change. How they will look like, I don't know, but I believe with the AI, generative AI, and Gen AI, I think will change the way that the entire architecture will be. And then what is the goal of this? 10 years from now, that will change the way that cloud companies, they will play. Why? Think about that. Today, companies, they go traditionally, they bootstrap, or they raise capital, they become unicorns, hundreds, 200s, and 500 employees type of companies, and they are billion-dollar companies. Not very far. Today, you can build a company with 10 employees and become a unicorn because you are tapping into huge generative AI productivity tools. Tomorrow, you're gonna have. I think you probably saw recently. The founder of OpenAI said, a startup of one founder becoming a billion-dollar unicorn. Why? Because you are tapping into generative AI, and that will play out for cloud providers. Think about today we have 3 hyperscalers, and they are focused on data, and they are focused on the reach and all the benefits and their capabilities. But tomorrow with generative AI, it's not just about horizontal reach, but depth. So then what if you have you're gonna have the cloud AI play, the data AI play, and then you can have another 10 companies like DigitalOcean becoming powerful, right? In this AI, and I believe generative AI might disrupt the entire cloud landscape. I don't envision that it's going to be like the top 3 hyperscalers. I believe in a more diversified ecosystem from the cloud foundation play because of generative AI. And if you look at that, that's why I like to go above and beyond on the M&A, on the corp dev. There is a reason that there are a lot of capital going towards to startups, not coming from VCs, but also coming from big cloud players, because I think that is a play of defend and then play offense. I believe generative AI is changing the VC world, the capital world, the way that you deploy. I think generative AI is going to disrupt the business model as a whole.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I completely agree. I've seen that the interview with Sam Altman about like $1 billion, like one founder $1 billion kind of company, which is very interesting. And to your points, I think there's so much changes happening. And so as we speak, and I think like hyperscalers obviously invest now like so much, so VCs are just overwhelmed by the amount of money that hyperscalers are just throwing at a bunch of companies. Look, I think that's been fantastic interview, and I look forward to following your success in DigitalOcean and seeing your programs that you just launched around partnerships and marketplace, which is becoming central to evolve. And I look forward to checking back in a year and like maybe a couple of months and see like how's it going. Thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Oh, absolutely, Roman. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And congratulations for the work and the leadership that you are bringing to the market with ISVs and marketplace. I think this is extremely important as the marketplace becoming the front and center of cloud GTM. And that's totally like, it's less about go to market. I know we have this concept, but I think it's more like pull to market, because they are kind of tap into, and companies, they are becoming more and more sophisticated, smaller companies requiring more capabilities, and I think they want to tap into the marketplace more and more, and they want to just drag and drop and run the business.
Amazing.